What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be revisiting one of my most creative theme teams featuring Pokemon that are actually made up of multiple different members. So for the last time I ran this team, I've kept my level 50 Execute and Phalanx, but I've upgraded the third member from Dugtrio to the newly released Mousehold, which means there's a total of 16 different members within this theme team. The current event is called the Better Together event, so let's find out if it's actually better to run as many Pokemon as possible. And spoiler alert, unfortunately it's not. This team was pretty terrible and it really struggles up against flying types, which are very dominant in the current meta. Despite multiple bans to different flying types, you still got Gligar somehow, Mantine, Mandibuzz and a few others, so yeah, pretty tricky to run, but I still had fun running it. Now before we get into the question of the day, I want to give a quick shout out to MGLJSP for their donations in my recent live stream, as well as Colin L and Mr. Big Floof, who between them donated 50 memberships. So if you were gifted a membership recently and you wanted to know who to thank, it'll be one of those two. As always, all donations and gifted memberships are greatly appreciated. And talking about my live streams, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me expand on this theme team and run a roulette wheel featuring loads of different Pokemon that consist of multiple members or have multiple heads, as I think that would be a pretty cool idea. But anyways, with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What is your favourite Pokemon that is currently unreleased in Pokemon Go? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so heading into the first battle, and this is the very first battle I did with this team, and you can see already we've got Play Rough for coverage, and this is a brand new Pokemon, so the opponent might not know what moves we're running, so we're full sending it here, and we one-shot the Guzzlord as it's double super effective. Perfect start to the video, and now the opponent's going to come in with a Clodsire. We're going to go for a Swift here. We throw on the CMP tie with a Stone Edge, and the opponent does throw straight away, so not going to be an Earthquake here. Stone Edge is not enough damage to get the KO here, and of course Mud Shots not really doing much damage, so I'm actually able to make it to back-to-back Swifts here. I'm going to throw the first one, and if we live the Mud Shot, then of course we will make it to another Swift. I don't expect the opponent to shield here. They're probably just going to sacrifice the Clodsire. I mean, they've got a lot of energy, so we're going to come in with the Execute, unlikely to be running Stone Edge and Sludge Bomb, so I know shield. The opponent goes for a blind Earthquake, which is absolutely fine with me, but they've got Jellicent in the back. Now, Execute is actually pretty bulky, but unfortunately, we are low enough where a Shadow Ball will definitely take us out. They're going to bait. I'm trying to throw on good timing here, and because we're up against a 3-turn move, that's very difficult to do, and as a result, basically, I kind of just have to throw at this point here, as we're at back-to-back Seed Bombs. We go for the first one, grab the first shield here, we're going to go for the second one, but I think this Hex will be taking us out, which is unfortunate, and now we're going to come in with Phalanx, which only has resisted charge moves to throw. Now, you can see in the graphic, we've got Brick Break. I didn't actually change that until maybe, like, in the second set, so there the opponent tries to make a catch, and at this point, I'm just going to shield this, and because we are running Superpower, I'm going to farm 2 back-to-back Superpowers. I know, of course, Mega Horn is just single resisted, but I think maybe 2 Superpowers would do more damage. So we go for the first one, and you can see even with the debuff to our attack here, this second Superpower should just about be enough to take out the Jellicent, and I'm able to take that game. So despite the crazy start landing that Play Rough, it was actually a very close game there. But GG's to that opponent there. Into the next battle, we can see Umbreon in the lead. And once again, another matchup where we can go for a Play Rough. Unfortunately, this is not going to be double super effective. And Umbreon is super bulky, so that actually doesn't even do half their health. But we have put them into range here where by the time we make it to a second Play Rough, it will pretty much take them out there. So gonna no shield the second move. Foul Play's not doing too much damage, but Mousehold is sort of in an awkward range where it's not really attack weighted, it's not really bulky either. We go for the Play Rough and we do grab a shield, and we've got a Phalanx, so I'm actually fine with this. I'll take the shield advantage, let the move go through as they go for a Foul Play, and then come in and go for a full counter farm down. Now the opponent makes it to another move here. I'm hoping it's not a Psychic, but even if it is, we can live it reasonably comfortably. So a no shield, but they actually go for a last resort, so it doesn't do too much damage. They come in with Toxapex, and we're going to swap into our Execute. They did actually farm all the way up to a potential Sludge Wave, and they full send it, so I'm very glad that I shielded that. I'm going to farm up to back-to-back Seed Bombs here. Unfortunately, Seed Bomb not going to do that much damage. It did get a buff this season, so it does do slightly more damage than previous seasons, but it's still not going to be enough to KO. But we force the opponent into a CMP tie, which Execute does actually win. Execute does actually have a very low attack stat, but of course Toxapex is incredibly bulky, so we win CMP there. And now all we have to do here is farm up. I was thinking, I'm not entirely sure who wins CMP in this matchup, so might as well just farm to 1 before it. We're actually 100 energy anyways. We go for the Mega Horn, we get the KO, and we didn't really need to overfarm here, but we go for 1 extra counter, go for the Superpower, taking out the Toxapex, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Into next game we see Mouse hold into Magneton. This is a pretty decent matchup for us. Of course, these mud shots hitting for double super effective damage. But honestly, these Volt Switches are basically dealing the same damage, and Swift is resisted. It doesn't do much damage there. Honestly, I felt like at times Swift, I'd probably prefer to just run Crunch and play Rough there, because Swift just wasn't really useful. But the opponent safe swaps into Poliwrath, and you can see Execute is bulky enough to pretty easily tank an Icy Wind there. But unfortunately, of course, they drop my attack, so I'm not going to be able to fully Confusion farm them down. Instead, we go for a Seed Bomb, and the opponent's happy to let that go through. Now, they come in with Crocodile, and they get an Incinerate farm down, and this isn't ideal. We don't have an answer to Fire types, but I think my Mouse hold is bulky enough to live a charge move here. So we come in, we go for a Swift straight away, and Swift is going to be shielded by the opponent, but they're going to overfarm here. Now this one, I'm going to no shield this, but I'm not certain if I can live one extra Incinerate, and I don't really want to take a risk and try to get the damage registration error there. So instead we swap into our Phalanx, and unfortunately this is where having Brick Break would have been much nicer. I'm going to go for a Superpower, but Superpower of course is going to drop my defense, and now I might have just barely lived the Disarming Voice, but we definitely don't live it after dropping our defense. They come back in with the Magneton. I think either way there, unfortunately we were going to lose that game, but GG's to that opponent there. And into the next battle we see another Dragon type that is double weak to going to be double weak to the Play Rough. So once again, full sending it, and once again we one-shot them. This time it's the Combo O. They're going to come in with a Mandibuzz, and this is absolutely fine with me. They're now going to swap into Carbink, so I'm actually just going to swap into my Execute here. We don't really care if we win this matchup or not. We're just keeping it away from Mandibuzz because Execute does get completely destroyed. We've got Ancient Power for coverage, of course, but Ancient Power is going to do like 25% of their health, honestly. Mandibuzz very bulky. Execute also doesn't have a particularly high attack stat, and at this point I'm not really sure if the opponent's just given up here or if they are just lagging, but we're going to go for a Seed Bomb, and eventually Seed Bomb is going to be shielded, so maybe they did just lag there. And the opponent can now swap, and I could have just swapped back into my Mouse hold or even my Phalanx and saved the energy there, but instead we go for the Ancient Power, and you can see that really does not do much damage. We're now going to go for a Play Rough, and it looks like some more lag here. I'm not really sure what's going on, but the opponent is going to no shield, and at this point we can just safely let the Mouse hold go down. Dark Pulse gets the KO. We can come in with Phalanx, and we should be able to pretty comfortably live one Aerial Ace, so I don't have to shield the first move here, and I know that the Carbink has quite a lot of energy, so probably pretty close to, if not already at a Moonblast, so the opponent's going to swap back into the Carbink. I'm just going to play it safe, use my shield, and the opponent does go for the Moonblast. They actually drop my attack there, so I'm actually just going to clear the debuff straight away. I'm going to farm two back-to-back or near back-to-back Superpowers here, throwing the first one. Superpower takes out the Carbink, one more counter, and we make it to Superpower number 2, and this should be enough damage after a little bit more lag here to eventually take out the Mandibuzz, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Into the next game we see Carbink in the lead. So we've got two sort of better answers. At least Phalanx does resist the Rock Throw damage, so I'm going to bank a Play Rough there. Of course, Rock Throw's not doing too much damage up against the Mouse hold, and now I'm going to no shield on my Execute. Execute, pretty bulky, you can see, but once again they get another debuff with the Moonblast, so that's 2 for 2 so far up against Carbink running Moonblast, which isn't ideal because now they can tank that fairly comfortably and actually get a huge Powder Snow farm down. Now, I'm going to come in. We've already got Play Rough loaded, so we're going to throw it straight away. And Play Rough is going to deal some decent damage there, but doesn't really put them into farm down range. I'm hoping this is just going to be a triple axle, so I know shield is an avalanche, and they would just be able to fully Powder Snow farm me down. So we're going to swap into our Phalanx here, go for a shield as the opponent goes for another avalanche, and we can get the counter farm down, but we're not in a great position. And here you can see this is a matchup where it would be so much better if I just had Brick Break, because now I could go and drop my opponent's defense instead of dropping my own and dropping my attack here. And of course they've got both shields, so they're going to be shielding anyways. We go for back-to-back superpowers. They can just very easily go for a full counter farm down. There's nothing I can do, so I'm just going to let the move go through, and they go for an Icy Wind, taking out the Mouse hold, and unfortunately we do lose that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Internet's going to see Poliwrath in the lead this time around. So we say swap into sort of a harder answer to the Poliwrath, which I probably shouldn't have done there. And if I was running Phalanx with Brick Break, then I probably would have done, just because we can outpace them before they make it to an Icy Wind, and we might grab a shield. But either way, we swap into our Execute here, and unfortunately Aerial Ace doesn't KO, so they get a very nice wing attack farm down, which isn't ideal. They've got quite a lot of energy here, so we're going to come back in with the Mouse hold, of course. Phalanx is going to take super effective damage from the wing attacks and the Aerial Aces. And of course we want to basically just get rid of the mouse hold so it doesn't have to face up against that Poliwrath. But now we are going to overfarm as much as we physically can. Gonna throw the Swift on the CMP tie here, and Swift will be taking out the Gligar. I'm hoping I can make it to a Poliwrath, but I can see one extra mud shot wasn't going to get me there, so I swap into my Phalanx, and again, not a great situation to be in when Poliwrath still has both shields in play. So I think directly after this battle I did swap out the Superpower for Brick Break, but actually what I probably should have done is just gotten rid of Mega Horn, because Mega Horn, whilst yes it's good coverage for like Psychic type Pokemon, but realistically unless you see like Defense from Deoxys, you're not going to be going up against any Psychic type Pokemon in this meta. And basically everything that resists Counter and Brick Break or Superpower probably also resist Mega Horn as well. So yeah, not really ideal for that bug coverage. Probably should just go for Brick Break and Superpower. But anyways, the opponent takes me out there, so GG's. But into the next battle, we're going to see a Jellicent in the lead. Now, I saw quite a lot of Jellicent in the lead today. Again, somehow I forgot about the Rise to the Occasion team, so I think in this battle, this was the Rise to the Occasion team. And then after that, I remembered, oh yeah, it's going to be the Alola Ninetales and Registeel in the back. But then every other Jellicent that I saw didn't have that team, so then it kind of threw me off because I was kind of playing the lead matchup expecting to see the Pokemon in the back. So here we're going to let this next move go through. You can see we can let the Surf, but actually we're not going to win that matchup. So we swap, we catch the next Surf onto our Execute as they go for the Surf, and now they come in with the Powder Snow, a load of Ninetales. So yeah, not ideal for us to be in this situation. Just going to no shield. Weatherable will get the KO, but what we can do is come in with the Phalanx and we can go for a full counter farm down eventually. And because we are running Brick Break here, we're probably going to grab a shield, but not only that, we're going to drop their defense. So Brick Break is going to grab the shield, and if it is a Registeel in the back, then of course that's going to be why they're shielding here. So we go for the shield there on the Weatherball. We're going to swap. We're going to catch the next move here onto my Mouse Hold as the opponent fully undercharges that, and then they swap back into Jellicent. So you can see here, I'm not quite at back-to-back Swifts, and I don't think if I went for one extra Mud Shot, I probably would have been taken out by a Hex there. So I kind of had to throw there, which means I'm not going to make it to another charge move, but that's absolutely fine as they come in with the Registeel. And again, because I'm running Brick Break, I can just throw it straight away. They're probably going to no shield since the next one will deal more damage, but because we're dealing so much damage now with these counters, I can just very safely shield up the Focus Blast, go for the counter farm down. They swap back into the Ninetales, doesn't matter, we get the full counter farm down, we counter farm down the Registeel, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Into next game we see Mouse Hold into Jellicent once again. So like I just mentioned, I saw quite a few Jellicent, but they weren't actually all the Rise to the Occasion team. So I'm just going to no shield this first move here. I am playing as if I'm expecting it to be the Rise to the Occasion team, but we are now going to go for a Play Rough throwing just before they make it to the next charge move. Play Rough is going to be no shielded, and unfortunately it doesn't quite do enough damage there to, well, it gets them into the yellow health range, but you can see when I land the next Play Rough, it won't quite do enough damage to take out the Jellicent. So we go for Play Rough number 2, get them very low, but they're actually going to win the zero shield scenario, which is pretty embarrassing for a normal type Pokemon. Of course, if I was running Crunch, then that would be pretty simple. But we get the counter farm down, and it's going to be a Venusaur in the back. So this is pretty much the only matchup where actually having Mega Horn is quite useful, because typically up against poison types, both the fighting type and the bug typing are going to be resisted. But because Venusaur is also part grass, that Mega Horn is actually going to hit for pretty big neutral damage. We bait out the Carbink here, and at this point I'm actually just happy to let this move go through. The opponent going to go for a Rock Slide, taking out the Execute, but of course we are going to resist the Rock Throw and the Rock Slide damage. So we go for a Brick Break straight away, dropping their defense, and you can see these counters are really going to start chunking. The opponent only makes it to a Rock Slide, but I've got both my shields in play. I realize the safe play here is just to shield this up and then commit to a full counter farm down. The opponent eventually swaps into Venusaur, but if anything, this is actually slightly better for me as I've already got nearly 100 energy. We can go for back-to-back Mega Horn straight away before they make it to a charge move. Mega Horn gets the KO, and we can just commit to a full counter farm down, taking out the Carbink, and I'm able to take that game. So that was pretty much the only matchup where having Mega Horn actually helped me, but I think if I just went for like straight Brick Break in that matchup, honestly, I probably still would have been fine. But anyways, into next battle, we're going to see a Galvantula in the lead. Going to go straight for Swift just because we can throw it before they debuff me. Then I'm going to go for a Lunge, which is fine with me. I'm still going to make it to another Swift, so I will throw here just before they farm me down with the Volt Switches. And the opponent is going to shield. They're going to get the Volt Switch farm down, but that's fine. The opponent going to blind throw here, so probably just going to be a Lunge, so that's why I came in with my Phalanx, as we do resist that, and we can get a full counter counter farm down. Now the opponent comes in with a Shadow Typhlosion. We're going straight for the Brick Break here, and Brick Break is going to grab a shield. It also drops their defense, so despite this being a very bad matchup for us, we're dealing huge damage with these confusions, so I'm going to shield this up here. One more confusion should get the KO, and they actually swap into a Shadow Quagsire, and I'm just so stupid. What am I doing here? Just because I saw the typing first and I didn't react in time, I thought it was going to be a Swampert, so if it was Swampert, obviously I can go for 2 confusions first and then throw, but there was just no reason for me to overfarm there, and because they cleared the debuff, Confusion doesn't get the KO. They also come out with a Blast Burn loaded to take out the Phalanx, and we just horribly throw that game, but GG's to that opponent there. Into next game, we see Shadow Dragonair in the lead, so this is fine with me. We've got Play Rough for coverage. They're pretty likely to shield, but that's okay. I'm going to no shield here as the opponent goes for an Aqua Tail, which is kind of strange. Body Slam is slightly better in neutral situations, but either way, we go for the Play Rough, grab a shield, and now we're swapping into Phalanx. And because the opponent's staying in with their Shadow Dragonair, I'm actually going to shield this and going to try to commit to a full counter farm down. This is going to depend on damage registration error, and the opponent doesn't get it. So we get the full counter farm down, and they come in with a Diggersby. So going straight for the Brick Break. Brick Break, not going to do that much damage, but it does drop their defense. I'm going to throw the next Brick Break on the CMP tie. Brick Break number 2 also goes unshielded, so I'm thinking, you know what, I'm actually going to shield this because that way I can permanently debuff whatever's in the back. Well, not permanently as they are able to swap out, but they've got a Shadow Magnezone. So this is fine. Brick Break drops their defense once again. Of course, we've got Mud Shots, which are going to deal double super effective damage, but we're going to come in with the Execute because they're not going to go for a Wild Charge here, or at least if they do, it's going to be resisted, and they actually do go for it. So now, because they are triple debuffed in their defense, we swap into our Mouse Hold, get the Mud Shot farm down, and I come out with a Swift loaded. So going to throw it straight away into the Diggersby, taking out the Diggersby, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to opponent there. Internet, we see Empoleon in the lead. So this is not ideal for me, but the opponent's going to safe swap into Froslass. So once again, another matchup where having Crunch probably going to be a lot better than Swift, because I just can't go for Swift here. I mean, I am throwing it. I didn't realize I would lose CMP here, so I throw on CMP. Luckily for me though, they go for Triple Axle, which we do live. We go for Swift as we are locked in, but we grab a shield anyway, so that's fine with me. Now, I didn't want to swap there just because I don't want to be switch locked, because I kind of want to align my Phalanx to the Empoleon, but I realize we're not going to be aligned to it anyway, so it kind of doesn't really matter. But I'm going to shield up the Triple Axle, go for the counter farm down, and here I probably should have just gone for a Brick Break there to drop their defense and probably grab a shield, and that would have been really nice for me. But the opponent goes for an Ice Punch, which of course hits for big damage, and the opponent throws on CMP. So very good timing from the opponent there. They're going to go for a Drill Peck, and at this point, what I should be doing is just not throwing a charge move at all, because Brick Break unfortunately doesn't do that much damage. They're able to make it to another charge move. If I just basically went for a full counter farm down, I think I would have been okay, but now we're going to go for a Brick Break. They've got significantly more health than me, so even though I'm going to drop their defense with this Brick Break, unfortunately it's going to be a race with the counter farm down, and they just barely beat me there, taking me out with the Hitmonchan, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there. Into next game, we see Typhlosion in the lead, and they're just going to go straight for a Thunder Punch. So absolutely fine with me. Going to let that go through. And now they swap into Goodra. So we're going straight for the Play Rough. Once again, they might not know about the coverage. And Play Rough does big damage. Unfortunately, this time, it isn't double super effective, so it doesn't get the one shot. But I'm able to make it to a Swift. And Swift is going to take out the Goodra. So pretty good for me. We're going to wait to see what comes in. If it's the Typhlosion, I'm going to swap straight away into my Phalanx. There's no point giving them an extra Incinerate in for free, and the opponent's going to overfarm here, farming up to a potential Blast Burn this time around, which is fine with me. I'm going to drop their defense there, grabbing a shield with the Brick Break. There are back-to-back Thunder Punches, and the opponent does bait with the Thunder Punch, but they try and commit to a Blast Burn there, which is a big mistake. Either that or they just over-tapped somehow. But either way, now I'm going to go for a Brick Break here. Of course, Mega Horn would pretty much just one-shot Superior, but I realize the safe play is just to drop their defense, and then there's nothing they can do. This is their final Pokemon, so they're going to end up shielding, throwing on CMP as well, which is not ideal for the opponent there. And at this point, we can tank an Aerial Ace pretty comfortably, and the opponent's just going to concede the match there. So GG's to opponent there. Internet's going to see Mouse Hold into a Shadow Quagsire. Now, this is okay. It's not the worst matchup ever, but I'm pretty certain, since they've got a Quagsire in the lead, they're going to have something that beats Grass types in the back, and typically it's going to be a flying type Pokemon. So whilst yes, I can play out the Zero Shield scenario and maybe grab a shield advantage, I'm not in a great position here because I've got two Pokemon in the back that are weak to the flying typing. So maybe I should have swapped out, but Mousehold doesn't have a particularly good matchup up against flying types either, because unfortunately Mudshot is going to be double resisted. So However I played this out, we're not in a great position. They're going to swap into Mandibuzz, and this actually isn't too bad for us because we are at least resisting the Snarl damage. Aerial Ace, not going to do that much damage. It does just over 50% of our health. And this is a matchup where having Brick Break and Superpower would probably be the best scenario for me, because now we can drop their defense, and then by the time we make it to the next charge move, a Superpower would get the KO. But unfortunately, Brick Break from this range still won't take them out. So instead, I'm just going to shield this. I'm going to try and commit to a full counter farm down, but honestly, I've kind of lost track of the energy, so I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to throw a Brick Break here. Possibly could have gone for the full farm down, but I don't, and instead, it doesn't really matter because they've got a Gligar in the back. So we go for a Brick Break here. Brick Break, not going to grab a shield. We swap into our Execute, and Execute loses CMP here. My only win condition here is if the opponent, for whatever reason, decides not to shield their Shadow Gligar, but obviously they're just going to shield here. So we go for the Seed Bomb. They shield it up, and I'm just going to concede the match. So GG's to opponent there. There was kind of a battle where I identified immediately that they're going to have double flyers, or at least a flying type in the back. But I don't think there's really any way for me to play that to actually win, so it didn't really matter. But into the next battle, we're going to see a Shadow Dragonair in the lead, and this time we're going to overfarm. I'm not really sure if that was necessary, because if I go for a Play Rough here, Play Rough will get the KO, but I've not got enough HP to actually make it to another charge move anyway, so kind of pointless, although I did give pretty minimal farm here. But they've got a Mantine, and once again, Mantine in the back, going to be problematic, but at least we can hit for neutral damage with the Confusions, and hit for super effective damage with the Ancient Power, and they do let that go through. So at this point, we're just going to come in with the Phalanx, and I've just got to hope there's something incredibly weak to us in the back, and I'm actually going to commit to a double shield. I wasn't certain if a Brick Break would KO from this range, so instead, I'm going to shield this up as they go for an Aerial Ace, and they stay in. So they are weak, and it's going to be an Umbreon in the back, so going straight for the Brick Break here. Brick Break is going to be shielded by the opponent. I'm going to overfarm now. I could have gone for the second Brick Break straight away, but I'm going to farm up and throw as if I've potentially got a Mega Horn, and we grab the final shield from the opponent, and they overfarm as well, so we can go for another Brick Break, and at this point they are double debuffed. That does huge damage, but they did overfarm. So let's see, the opponent is going to go for a Foul Play, which is of course resisted damage, doesn't do much damage there, and I'm able to take that game. So we got very lucky with what they had in the back there. But into the next battle, I'm going to see a Carbink in the lead, and this is pretty much the only matchup where well, aside from the Venusaur, where I actually go for a Mega Horn, and you can see Mega Horn gets shielded. So yeah, not really ideal. If I just went straight Brick Break, honestly, I probably could flip this matchup in the 2-shield scenario, but I didn't, and so the opponent is going to throw here, which is fine with me. I kind of prefer this because I wasn't certain if I would make it to a second Mega Horn, but that's fine with me. We're now going to come in with the Mouse Hold. They will outpace me to the first charge move, but I'm going to no-shield this as they go for a Foul Play, and now I can overfarm. Once again, not certain who wins CMP, so I throw just before they make it to the next Foul Play, and Play Rough obviously takes out the Save Life from that range. We are going to bank a Swift and then swap into my Execute, and unfortunately they've got Shadow Dragonite in the back. So here, turns out if I'd have just gone for an extra Confusion, I could have got a full Confusion in for free as they throw straight away. But unfortunately, because I did throw immediately there, we CMP tie, which of course we lose. I try and fish for a boost there with the Ancient Power. We don't get the boost. They're going to be able to take me out here with a charge move, and there's just nothing I can do up against that Carving. So we're going to go for a Swift here, and you can see Swift, of course, will take them out, but I'm just way too low here. So Carving will be able to come in, go for a full Rock Throw farm down. No point me throwing anything. Play Rough, not going to do much damage at all, and they're able to take me out to take that game. So GG's to opponent there into the next game, Mantine in the lead. So obviously not great, but probably better to see it here than anywhere else. I'm always going to overfarm as much as I can with my Mouse Hold, just because it is a new Pokemon. They might shield, thinking maybe we've got something like electric coverage, I don't know. But the opponent going to go for an Aerial Ace. We're now going to go for one more Mud Shot and throw on the CMP tie, and Swift is going to be no shielded, and you can see that really does not do much damage whatsoever. I'm actually going to shield this just because I will be able to outpace them to the next charge move as well, but the opponent swaps into Ferrothorn, so I bank a Play Rough there. I might have swapped a little bit too slowly this time though, because the opponent goes for a Power Whip. Power Whip does some pretty decent damage here. We can go for a Brick Break. This will not KO, and can we actually counter farm them down from this point? Yes, we are just barely able to do so. And let's see, the opponent's going to come in with the Mantine. I'm committing to a Mega Horn, unfortunately not quite getting there, but we do make it to a Brick Break, and Brick Break grabs a shield either way, so fine with me. We're now going to go for a Swift straight away into the Mantine, and we grab the final shield from the opponent. Now honestly, I thought that was a CMP tie, so me swapping there, I didn't really make sense. But we are getting a full confusion in for free as the opponent throws on very awkward timing. And I'm expecting it's probably going to be Quagsire in the back, and it is a Shadow Quagsire. So you can see now that after one confusion, Seed Bomb actually doesn't quite get the one shot there. But either way, one more confusion takes out the Quagsire, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there into the next battle. We see Steelix in the lead. So the opponent's going to say swap into a Poliwrath, and honestly, this is fine. I'm going to go for a Play Rough here, but I should just swap out. There's no reason for me to stay in this matchup here. I could just go into my Execute, go for a full Confusion Farm down, and I wouldn't even have to shield either because I can tank an Icy Wind. But instead, because I stay in there, I mean, I figured we're not going to be that good up against the Steelix, but because I stay in, I'm going to allow them to make it to back-to-back Icy Winds, which is going to get me incredibly low. I didn't want to shield this, so I'm going to let it go through. And now, unfortunately, well, luckily for me, it is going to be a Powder Snow Alolan Ninetales and not a Charm one. But I'm still not in a great position as Weather Ball is going to do quite a lot of damage there. I probably should have no-shielded that because, of course, I'm expecting Psychic Fangs from this Steelix. So we go for a Brick Break. We do grab the shield there, and again, I think this is going to be another game where if I just had Brick Break and Super Power as the combination, I think I'd be fine, because now we can go for a Brick Break here, throwing on the CMP tie, throwing as late as possible. Brick Break is going to be no-shielded, and here, if we could just go for a Super Power, I would throw on the CMP tie, but instead, we go for Brick Break, doesn't do much damage. We're going to try and swap and make a catch, and we're not able to do so, and you can see they are pretty low. I think a Super Power, I mean, it does a lot more damage than a Brick Break. We probably could have taken out the Ninetales there, but unfortunately we weren't able to do so, and we do end up losing that game. But GG's to the opponent, and into the final battle of this video, we lead into a Kanto Raichu, so pretty spicy from the opponent. I'm going to go straight for a Swift here. Swift is going to grab a shield, and we are going to let the Brick Break go through, and I will actually be able to make it to another Charge Move just before they make it to their next move as well. We go for the Swift. Swift goes unshielded. It doesn't do much damage, and they get a full Volt Switch Volt Switch farm down. But we can tank the energy pretty well on the Execute. Go for the Confusion farm down, and they've got a Guzzlord in the back. So we swap into a Phalanx, and they've got a Politoed. So this is where Brick Break is going to be very nice, because we can just go for that debuff straight away. They're going to no-shield the first move, but that's fine with me. At this point, I can just commit to a 2-shield and fully counter farm them down, and that way I'm going to have enough health so where I should be able to live a Dragon Claw from the Guzzlord. I'm not certain if Weather Ball or Dragon Claw will do more damage. I think probably Weather Ball, just because it's a slightly better move. But either way, we're going to go for a Brick Break here. Brick Break is going to be no-shielded by the opponent, which is the correct play, since I'm going to make it to 2 moves, but I can live this Dragon Claw fairly comfortably. Go for the counter farm down. I'm able to take out the Guzzlord to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.